Well, the markets are open. Let's take a look at how they are performing in the early going here. We did see a bit of a sell-off from the opening levels, but can they stabilize? On the grain trade right now, in our quotes provided by Barchart, we have the July corn now 7 3/4 higher at 581.5 per bushel. It did dip down as low as 576.5. We have December now trading at 518 1/4. That would be 6 cents higher. Had been as high as 520 in that overnight trade. So a little bit of choppiness to start things out here today. The soybean market right now has July trading at 1430 1/4. That would be 7 3/4 cents higher. And November soybeans a nickel higher. Check that, now 4 3/4 higher at 1278 3/4, which would put it roughly about a nickel off of its overnight high. Let's move on to the wheat. Now, the wheat market had some solid strength overnight, and then it kind of faltered and stumbled out of the gate here this morning. We have July Chicago wheat now 1.5 higher is all at 656.5. And that's off of our overnight high here by about 6 cents. On the Kansas City market, you now have that July contract trading at 618 3/4. That would be 2.5 cents higher. In the Minneapolis market on the spring wheat trade, you have July 5 1/4 higher at 676.5, and that's within about 1.25 of its high of the overnight trade. So anyway, generally a higher tone across the grain complex here this morning. Dewey, what are you looking for?
Well, there's three things I'm looking at right now, Marlon. One, you can look and see that the dollar is in the red a bit here this morning. That's given the grain some strength. Second, we do have some dryness in Brazil. But also, too, we're looking at some rather cool temperatures this week and maybe even a little bit of frost, and that could cause maybe some germination, some development problems here later, especially in the wheat and also in the corn and the soybeans. So those are the things that the trade is looking at right now.
Now, let's talk about this a little bit. There has been a little bit of corn planted across the country, of course, more toward the south, but you get up into the Midwest, some guys had a good start. We had soybeans, some areas planted soybeans before they did corn this year. And that presents a little interesting scenario. If the soybeans did happen to germinate and sprout, they would be frozen off if it gets down below freezing as soon as they're out of the ground. Corn, the growing point stays underground for a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly right. A lot of the guys that I work with, Marlon, usually they plant corn first, but they have started on soybeans.
Now, I have seen some soil temperature maps overnight that showed a lot of the soil temps through the core of the Midwest are still in the 40s. That seems to indicate that it would take a little while before any seedlings would come out of the ground. That presents a risk in itself, right?
Yes, it does. And if you look at the longer forecast, we are due to see some cool temperatures through May 2nd. So that said, we may be looking at these issues here for the next couple of weeks.
Does that concern you at all that we didn't have any overnight export sales again today?
No, that's kind of gotten to be the norm here of late.
It's that time of year, apparently. You mentioned the dollar value as well. Do you think that it's going to stay under 92 there for a while?
I think the dollar could go down to 87. I think the dollar could go down to maybe the lows that we had here in 2018, 2014. I think the dollar has got some major problems right now.
Okay, well, Dewey, we'll come back here in just a moment, and there is the dollar. It's down 419 points right now, 91.125. Pretty steep drop, sizable drop right there. We'll come back in a moment and take a look at how we're opening up in our livestock trade next. We're back with Dewey Strickler of AgWatch Market Advisors, and he is based in Franklin, Kentucky. Dewey, I want to go ahead and go right to our quotes here. With our quotes provided by Barchart, we'll start with our live cattle board. And we are weaker across the board, but not by very much, Dewey. We have June only down 25 cents. Well, 27 lower now at 118.90. I guess that is on the low of the day, but you know, we've been on either side of unchanged here by a little bit so far in the early going. August is down 45 cents right now. On the feeder cattle trade, now here you have triple-digit losses all across the board. The May is down $1.47 at 142.25. And the losses seem to get steeper as you go further out. We have August and October now over $2 lower. What does that mean? Is that because of the corn?
Yeah, it's mostly because of corn. This is the reason the cattle markets, both the fats and the feeders, have been down. Of course, the June fat cattle been down about 7 days. We're due to get a bounce in them here, possibly by, hopefully by the end of the day.
So that's a pretty steep drop here on the charts on the feeders and also on the live cattle. Cattle, did they not take out their long-term uptrend line?
Yes, they definitely have. We've got some technical damage here on the cattle market, but like I said, we're due to get a little bit of recovery here. I don't think the cattle will set new highs, though.
On the other hand, now we had the big sell-off late last week in the lean hogs, and look at them this morning. Now you have triple-digit gains across the board. You have the June contract. Well, we'll start with May. May is up $1.47. June about the same. We're up $1.45 now at 103.15 per hundredweight. July up $1.25 at $100.95. It dipped down below $100, got as low as 99.37 before turning around and bouncing about $1.50 off of that. How healthy do you think this lean hog market is right now?
I think the June contract, Marlin, could go up and set a new contract high. Then I would look for a major top to develop.
Really? You're looking for another high? That means over 110, right?
Yes, it would put it up there.
What makes you think that anyway? Is that due to like an Elliott wave analysis, or what do you go by for that?
Yes, it's primarily technical observation.
It is. All right. Well, that's fascinating stuff. Thanks for pointing that out. Dewey Strickler is with AgWatch Market Advisors. He's based in Franklin, Kentucky. I did want to point out also what the Dow is doing this morning. And we talked about the weakness in the dollar. The Dow, on the June futures anyway, is down 105 points right now. We're at 33,976. And also on the crude oil market, this would be West Texas crude, John. It has May now 42 cents higher at 63.55 a barrel, not too far from the high of the day. We'll watch that too.